Welcome! Let's learn Disney Return of the Headless Horseman game, a 2 to 4 player game published by Funko Games. After midnight in Sleepy Hollow, the forest comes to life with spooky sounds and creepy creatures. Ichabod is frightened and needs your help. Work together to get him to the covered bridge before the Headless Horseman heads him off. The players work together and all players play on every turn. To set up, let's start by placing the game board in the play area. Next, let's set up the spinning tree. Let's take the base piece and place that through the game board so that when completed, it looks like that. Next, let's take the base and tree, put the tree in the base, and place that on the tree base. Place the green Ichabod figure on the Van Tassel farm, and the Headless Horseman on the arrow at the start of the purple path. Next, let's take the scare tokens, shuffle them together, and place them individually by the game board. Place the speed tile with the 2 face up. Then take the cards, shuffle them together, and deal out 4 cards to each player. Let's set up a 3-player game. Each player takes their cards and looks at them, but keep them secret from other players. Place the remaining cards by the game board as a draw pile. Work together to get Ichabod to the covered bridge. If the players end a turn with Ichabod at the covered bridge, Ichabod escapes from the Headless Horseman and all the players win. But if all 4 pumpkin scare tokens are ever face up, the Headless Horseman catches Ichabod and the players lose. At the beginning of each round, secretly choose a card and place it face down in front of you. If at any point you start a turn with only 1 card in your hand, first shout Ichabod, spin the tree, and draw the number of cards it lands on. In this case, 3 cards. If at any point you need to draw cards, but there are no cards to draw, take the discard pile, shuffle it together, and use that as your new draw pile. Once everyone has placed their card, flip them face up and place them at the bottom of the game board. If no card numbers match, repeat the process by playing another card each and placing those at the bottom of the game board. And at any time when cards are revealed and they match, Ichabod can move. And Ichabod moves the amount of spaces that match. If more than 1 pair matches, then Ichabod moves the lowest matching pair number. If Ichabod lands on a special space, do what the space says. For a tree, spin the tree and move Ichabod the amount of spaces indicated. When you land on a scare space, Ichabod gets scared. Flip over a scare token. And if all 4 pumpkin scare tokens are flipped over, all players lose. If Ichabod lands on a secret path space, move Ichabod through the secret path to the other side. When during movement Ichabod reaches the fork in the road, Ichabod must take the blank space going towards the tree. Then the player takes the Ichabod figure, puts it in the tree, and spins the tree. Ichabod then gets off at the space indicated and goes to that space. Once Ichabod has taken his turn, it is now time for the Headless Horseman to move. To move the Headless Horseman, add up all the numbers at the bottom of all the cards that were placed this turn. And a question mark in orange means to move the Headless Horseman the amount of spaces indicated on the speed tile. So in this case, the Headless Horseman would move 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spaces. If the Headless Horseman were to ever catch or pass Ichabod, he instead stops immediately behind him, and Ichabod gets scared to the next blank space and flip over a scare token. When the Headless Horseman lands on a special space, he does not do what the special space says. When Ichabod gets scared to the next space, the tree space counts as a blank, as does the covered bridge. When the Headless Horseman reaches the fork in the road, the Headless Horseman takes the purple path and does not spin the tree. Once the Headless Horseman has moved, it is the end of the turn. Gather all the cards that are at the bottom of the game board and put them in a discard pile. And everyone returns to step 1 with placing a new card face down. When Ichabod reaches the covered bridge, it is the last turn of the game, and Ichabod stops at the covered bridge even if there was enough movement for him to move further. And as usual, when the Headless Horseman moves, if he were to catch or pass Ichabod, instead flip over a scare token. And remember, anytime 4 pumpkin scare tokens are revealed, all players lose. But if Ichabod ends his turn on the covered bridge, and there are less than 4 pumpkin scare tokens flipped over, all players win. Before we go, let's go through a couple ways to change the challenge level of the game. To start, some players may wish to not have a hand of cards. In that case, that or those players will draw the top card of the draw pile to play. For more of a challenge, flip the speed tile over to the 4 side. Thank you for joining me to learn Disney Return of the Headless Horseman game. Have fun, and I invite you to join me next time as I do a playthrough.